Okay, so if you're listening to this, you probably want to shop smarter online,
Yeah.
especially on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been there,
For sure.
feeling like it's just a jungle out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You go in for like one thing,
Okay.
and then like 2 hours later, you've got like, you know, 16 different things in your cart. And
Right.
you're like, how did I even get here?
Totally.
So that's why we are diving into NewGenBox.com today.
Okay.
Um, they claim to do all the hard work for you,
Interesting.
finding the best Amazon products and deals.
Okay.
But is it the real deal or is it just hype?
Yeah, that's the big question,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's interesting because NewGenBox kind of taps into this growing trend of curated shopping.
Yeah.
People are just drowning in choices online.
Mm-hmm.
So a service that promises a hand-picked selection
Yeah.
and trusted sellers
Yeah,
definitely sounds appealing.
totally. And let's be honest,
Yeah.
who hasn't gotten lost in the Amazon abyss?
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said, you go in for one thing and you end up down this rabbit hole of like random stuff.
Right.
You never even knew you needed.
Yeah.
So NewGenBox claims to cut through all that clutter.
That's right. They basically present themselves as this filter,
Okay.
sifting through the endless options on Amazon to bring you the supposed cream of the crop. But the big question is, how do they actually choose these products?
Yeah.
What's the magic formula
Right.
behind their curation process?
Yeah, because best rated, best selling, most useful can mean very different things to different people.
Bro, for sure.
Right. What I find useful
Yeah.
might not even be on your radar.
Exactly. And, best-selling doesn't always equal best quality.
Right.
So to really understand NewGenBox, we need to look beyond the marketing buzzwords
Okay.
and understand how their selection process actually works.
Yeah.
Do they have actual experts curating these products? Or is it all based on algorithms and sales data?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole exclusive deals thing. They've got this hottest deals section. That definitely grabbed my attention.
Okay.
A car vacuum cleaner for $34.99, down from $49.99.
Wow.
Smart LED light strips for $21.99, originally $29.99.
Okay.
I mean, those are tempting prices.
Yeah, they sound pretty good.
Right. But are these discounts really exclusive to NewGenBox? Or can you find similar deals elsewhere?
That's where a healthy dose of skepticism is needed, I think.
Okay.
It's always smart to compare those prices
Yeah.
with what you can find on Amazon directly.
Right.
Sometimes those original prices might be inflated to make the discount seem more impressive.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
It's like those 50% off sales where you wonder if the item was ever actually sold at the original price.
Right, exactly.
So it's not just about finding a deal. It's about making sure it's genuinely a good deal.
Exactly. It's about being a savvy shopper.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned you appreciate the thrill of the hunt for a good deal.
Oh, absolutely. There's something satisfying about finding that hidden gem,
I get that.
But I'm also realistic. Time is a limited resource. And if NewGenBox can genuinely help me find quality products at fair prices,
Right.
I'm open to it.
I understand that. I mean, the appeal of convenience is undeniable.
Right.
But even if NewGenBox saves us time,
Yeah.
the question is, does it actually make us smarter shoppers?
Oh.
Or does it just make us faster shoppers, clicking on these pre-selected items without necessarily thinking critically about our choices?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, are we losing something by letting a site decide what's best for us?
Right.
Are we missing out on potentially better options simply because they didn't make the curated cut?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's like relying solely on those recommendation algorithms
Right.
for movies or music. You might miss out on discovering hidden gems
Right.
that wouldn't have popped up in your curated feed.
Okay.
So there's a balance to be struck.
Yeah.
Between convenience and exploration.
Okay, so maybe NewGenBox isn't like the answer to all our online shopping prayers, but it could be a useful tool in our arsenal, right?
Exactly. Think of it as a starting point,
Okay,
not the final destination.
got it.
It could be helpful for discovering new products or brands you might not have come across otherwise. But before hitting that buy button, it's crucial to do your own research.
So basically, don't skip the comparison shopping.
Exactly.
Even if it feels like NewGenBox has already done it for you.
Right.
Check those prices,
Right.
read those reviews, and make sure you're getting the best possible deal.
Absolutely. And speaking of reviews,
Yeah.
another key aspect of NewGenBox is this emphasis on trusted sellers.
Okay.
They claim to only feature highly rated products from reputable sources,
Mm-hmm.
but how do they vet these sellers?
Right.
And how can we as consumers ensure we're buying from trustworthy businesses?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah.
Because even though NewGenBox claims to have done all the vetting,
Right.
it's always smart to kind of double check, right?
Oh, for sure.
Especially on like a massive marketplace like Amazon,
Exactly.
where there are so many third-party sellers.
You don't want to just assume
Right.
that every seller featured on like a curated site
Mm-hmm.
is automatically trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's always best to do your own due diligence.
So what would you recommend?
Yeah.
What are some things we can look for to make sure we're dealing with a reputable seller?
Well, the first thing I always do is check the seller's rating
Okay.
and actually read through their reviews,
Okay.
both positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
Look for patterns in the feedback.
Okay.
Are customers consistently happy with their purchases?
Yeah.
Are there any recurring complaints or concerns?
Right.
For example, are multiple reviews mentioning like slow shipping
Uh-huh.
or products that don't match the description?
Right.
Those could be red flags.
So don't just glance at like the star rating.
It-
Actually take the time to read what people are saying.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
What else should we be looking out for?
Another thing to check is the seller's return policy
Okay.
and customer service responsiveness.
Okay.
Do they offer hassle-free returns?
Yeah.
Are they quick to respond to inquiries?
Mm-hmm.
A trustworthy seller will have clear policies in place.
Okay.
And will be willing to address any issues that may arise.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's about feeling confident
Right.
that if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
you'll be able to get it resolved
Right.
without a hassle.
Exactly.
So even though NewGenBox promotes trusted sellers,
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't just take their word for it.
Right.
We should still do our own research to verify
Faster.
those claims.
Absolutely. It's all about being an informed
Yeah.
and empowered consumer.
Okay, now let's get back to those tempting hottest deals we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Remember that car vacuum cleaner
Mm-hmm.
with supposed discount?
Yeah.
Let's put NewGenBox's price comparison skills to the test
Okay.
and see if that deal is really as good as it sounds.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
It's always smart to double check those prices,
Yeah.
especially when deals are presented as like exclusive or limited time offers.
Okay, so I'm on Amazon right now,
Okay.
searching for that same car vacuum cleaner model,
All right.
and there are a lot of results.
Okay.
This is where I usually get overwhelmed
Yeah.
and abandon my shopping cart.
It's definitely easy to get lost in the sea of options on Amazon.
Right.
But let's see if we can track down that exact model
Okay.
that NewGenBox is featuring.
Okay, I think I found it.
Okay.
Same brand, same model,
All right.
and the price on Amazon is $34.99.
Okay.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
That's the same price as NewGenBox.
Huh.
So there's no actual discount.
It seems that way.
Wow, okay.
It's possible the discount was temporary and has since expired,
Okay,
or perhaps the original price was inflated
right.
to make the deal seem more impressive.
Okay. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But let's try another one just to be sure.
Okay.
How about those smart LED light strips?
Great.
NewGenBox had them listed for $21.99, down from $29.19.
Okay, let's see what we can find on Amazon.
Okay.
Make sure to check the brand,
Mm-hmm.
the length of the light strips,
Yep.
and any other relevant details to ensure an accurate comparison.
Okay, I found them. Same brand, same 16-foot length,
Right.
and the price on Amazon is $24.99.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a slight discount on NewGenBox,
Yeah.
but it's not nearly as big as they made it seem.
It's a classic retail tactic.
Right.
You know, exaggerating discounts or creating a sense of urgency
Mhm.
can definitely influence purchasing decisions.
Yeah.
That's why it's always smart to remain vigilant and compare prices from multiple sources
Okay.
to make sure you're actually getting the best deal.
All right, I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
Those hottest deals might not be as scorching as they're presented. It's not to say that you can't find any good deals on NewGenBox,
Mhm.
but it's clear that you can't just take their word for it.
Right. And this brings us back to the importance of independent research
Mm-hmm.
and price comparison.
Okay.
Don't solely rely on curated shopping experiences
Right.
to dictate your purchasing decisions.
Got it.
Take the time to explore other options
Okay.
and ensure you're getting the best value for your money.
I think we've learned a valuable lesson here.
Yeah.
Curated shopping experiences can be convenient,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not a substitute for critical thinking
Right.
and comparison shopping.
Exactly.
Don't let flashy deals or promises of exclusivity sway you.
For sure.
Do your own research to make informed decisions.
Absolutely. It's about being a savvy consumer.
Right.
And not simply accepting everything at face value.
Now let's move on to another aspect of NewGenBox that they emphasize.
Okay.
The convenience factor. They talk a lot about simplifying the online shopping experience and saving you the hassle of navigating Amazon's vast marketplace.
And that's a major selling point for many curated shopping platforms.
Yeah.
They aim to reduce decision fatigue and make the process of finding and buying products quicker and easier.
Right.
But the question is, are we sacrificing something for that convenience?
What do you mean?
Well, by narrowing our focus to a limited selection, we might miss out on discovering new products or finding options that better suit our needs.
Got it.
There's a balance to be struck between enjoying the convenience of curated shopping and maintaining the freedom to explore and discover on our own.
So even though these curated lists can be helpful, we shouldn't just limit ourselves to what they present.
Exactly.
We should still take the time to browse and explore beyond those selections.
While curated shopping can save time and effort, it's important to maintain a sense of curiosity and venture beyond the confines of a predetermined selection. Don't be afraid to step outside the curated box and see what else is out there.
It's like relying solely on a friend's recommendations for restaurants. You might miss out on discovering hidden gems that you wouldn't have found otherwise.
It's about finding that balance between the ease of curated experiences and the excitement of independent exploration.
Okay, so NewGenBox could be a useful starting point for finding potential products. But it shouldn't be the end of our shopping journey.
Exactly.
We should use it as a tool, but not let it limit our choices or dictate our decisions.
I agree. It's all about being an informed and empowered consumer. Take advantage of curated shopping experiences. But don't let them take over your decision-making process.
Now, one more thing I wanted to touch on is NewGenBox's claim to offer highly rated products from trusted Amazon sellers. How do they actually go about vetting these sellers? And is it enough for us as consumers to rely on their vetting process? Or should we be taking extra steps to ensure we're buying from reputable businesses?
That's a great question, and one that deserves a closer look.
Okay, so we're back.
And
ready to unpack this whole trusted seller thing. You know, you mentioned earlier about being an informed and empowered consumer. And I think that's especially important. When it comes to, like, choosing who we buy from online.
I absolutely agree. With so many third-party sellers on platforms like Amazon, it's more crucial than ever to make sure we're dealing with reputable businesses.
So how can we do that?
Okay.
What are some things we should look for to gauge a seller's trustworthiness? Even if they're featured on a site like NewGenBox that claims to have already vetted them.
Well, as I mentioned before, checking seller ratings and reading through customer reviews is always a good starting point, but we can go a little deeper than that. One thing I like to do is check how long the seller has been active on the platform. A longer track record often indicates more experience and stability.
That makes sense. So a brand new seller might be perfectly fine. But it's good to be aware that they might not have as much experience dealing with, like, customer issues or returns.
Exactly.
Another
thing to look for is how the seller responds to negative reviews. Do they address customer concerns professionally and try to find solutions? Or do they ignore negative feedback or get defensive?
Ooh, that's a good point.
I
guess the way they handle criticism can tell you a lot about their customer service approach.
Absolutely. And speaking of customer service, you can also check if the seller provides contact information on their profile. A phone number or email address suggests they're willing to be easily reachable if any problems arise.
So it's really about looking beyond the surface. And digging a little deeper to get a sense of the seller's overall reputation and reliability.
And remember, even though NewGenBox emphasizes trusted sellers, it's still up to us as consumers to do our homework and make sure we're comfortable with who we're buying from.
Okay, so we've talked about deals. We've talked about sellers. We even touched on cashback apps.
We did.
I think we've covered a lot of ground.
I think so.
When it comes to NewGenBox and the whole concept of curated shopping.
I agree. We've explored the potential benefits and the potential downsides.
Yeah.
And I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
Totally. But before we wrap up, I want to zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and kind of touch on the bigger picture here.
All right.
Because I think what's really fascinating about NewGenBox
Yeah.
is that it reflects this larger trend in our culture.
Interesting.
This desire for simplicity and convenience in a world that feels increasingly overwhelming.
It's true. We're bombarded with choices every day.
Right.
And it's easy to feel paralyzed by the sheer volume of options.
Yeah.
So the idea of having someone curate a selection for us,
Yeah.
whether it's products, movies, music, or even news, can be really appealing.
It's like we're saying, just tell me what's good. I don't have the time or energy to sift through all of this myself.
Exactly, and I think that's perfectly understandable. But I also think it's important to be mindful
Right.
of the potential trade-offs.
Okay.
Because when we outsource our decision-making,
Yeah.
we're also giving up a certain degree of control.
And maybe even missing out on discovering things we might have loved
Yeah,
if we had taken the time to explore on our own.
that's right. So I think the key takeaway here
Yeah.
is to find that balance. Embrace the convenience of curated experiences,
Right.
but don't let them dictate your choices or limit your horizons.
Perfectly said so to our listener, who's trying to navigate the world of online shopping. Here's the bottom line.
Okay,
Use sites like NewGenBox as a starting point,
right.
but don't be afraid to venture beyond the curated path.
I agree.
Do your own research, trust your gut, and make choices that align with your needs and values.
And remember, shopping should be an enjoyable experience,
Yeah.
not a stressful one.
Right.
So take your time, explore your options, and don't be afraid to say no to something that doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
even if it's presented as the best or the hottest deal.
Great advice. And on that note,
Yeah.
we're going to wrap things up here.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of curated shopping.
It was fun.
We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Until next time, happy shopping, everyone.